Hello, divine ones. I'm here today to talk to you about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and Tantra and non-dualism. So, my favorite things. Oh, yeah, and demons. So, let's see. What do sex, drugs, and rock and roll have to do with non-dualism? Um, so, I'm just going to open my heart and just ask that the Ascended Masters work through me to explain this better than I could even understand. And I ask that if you're listening to this, that you open your heart to receive this message from my higher self to your higher self, to the spark of divinity in me, speaking directly to the spark of divinity in you. So, as the author of Existential Kink, Caroline Elliott, says, she calls her body of work the tantric, left-handed, witchy path to enlightenment. So what is this? This is seeing that the archetype of the rich man and the robber are the same, and the archetype of the demon and the god are the same, and the archetype of the good witch and the bad witch are the same. The slutty, manipulative woman and the loving mother. It's all the same. One way I have come to look at this is as octaves. So we are all experiencing aspects of heaven and hell on earth as embodied spiritual beings. And depending on how tightly woven our nervous system is, we may experience more threats in the outside. So, for lack of a better way of describing it, like the more threats we perceive, the more of a hell that we're living in, because we actually attract what we're afraid of. And so, from a non-dual perspective, when we understand that everything that's outside is really an aspect of our own mind and we can transform it from within, then that's where the magic happens. So if I notice a recurring pattern of something negative happening in my life, I realize this is an aspect of me. And I can transform it in myself, and the universe will reflect something different back to me because I am the center of my mandala and my world is a holographic image of my own mind. So for example, let's talk about demons. So all of these things exist in multiple dimensions. They can exist in the physical world, like I said, the nervous system being wound up. In the spiritual realm, this can take place as thought forms, which actually take on a spiritual body. So, so say that I am riddled with self-doubt. There's certain very common themes in humanity, like feelings of I'm not enough, I'm not lovable, imposter syndrome. There's certain themes that are like very common, and it's almost inevitable that we're going to be working with at least one of these things, like I'm not lovable, I'm not enough, or whatever. So, take your pick. But let's just give the example of self-doubt. So self-doubt is a state of mind, but it also exists on a spiritual dimension, which could be called the demon of self-doubt. Now, the nature of a demon is that it is not self-sustaining. It must feed off of another energy in order to sustain itself. It is vampiric by nature. And so if I have self-doubt, I will have the behavior of entitlement, And I will be feeding off of like overstepping my self-doubt. Self-doubt, I think, is arrogance. And entitlement is self-worth. Yeah. Self-worth. Okay, sorry about that. Self-worth is the overcompensation for it is self-worth is entitlement. So, for example, if I feel unlovable and like I'm not really worth it, then I'm going to be like bossing my boyfriend around and making him get me the most expensive this, the most expensive that, because I'm feeding off of him. I'm needing him to prove my worth, right? So this is a demonic behavior. It's a demonic attitude. It's an attitude in which I'm feeding off of someone. So when we realize that in a non-dual state, the demon and the God are actually the same archetype, just at different octaves, then when I see this demon as an aspect of myself, then I feel empowered to transform it into its more God-like, self-sustaining behavior. And how do I do this? I do this by transforming my very essence, my very physical cells, vibrational, physical, metaphysical self, into the quality that the demon is seeking. So, if in my feelings of unlovableness, I'm becoming and behaving demonic, then the remedy is to allow myself to feel lovable. Now, how do we do this? You fake it till you make it. And you can actually just transform your vibration until, like, you ask yourself in a self-hypnosis kind of a way, what would it be like if I was lovable? And you let yourself feel that, and you let yourself bathe in that energy. You bathe in it until you are it from within. Like, you don't need anybody to buy you jewelry to show that you're worthy. You buy your damn self jewelry, you know? And then the universe will reflect this back to you. So then okay, let's talk about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So, okay, sex. So, if the demon and the God are the same thing, and sex is a roadmap to the same surrender that is the bliss of enlightenment, surrendering to the orgasm of a violent death and surrendering to the orgasm of a fully, safely held embrace are two aspects of the same archetype. Let me explain. So, in my own sexual meditations, I have allowed myself to experiment, and I've been in a deep and dedicated process of my own explorations of the maps of consciousness in staying lucid in every moment of my life as much as possible, including during sex. So, what's the difference between really scary sex and lovemaking? It's the same thing as the good witch and the bad witch. The good witch and the bad witch, it's all women's power. A more wounded woman will come out as manipulative and controlling, and a more a higher octave woman in her power will come out as empowering and compassionate and wise, but it's working with the same energy, right? So as I've allowed myself to explore the meditation of sex, or sex as meditation, and to explore the more heavenly octaves and the more hell-like octaves, to surrender into an orgasm, and sometimes you surrender into literally death, literally either ego death or physical death, into the vibe and the image. And what's essentially happening is surrendering to the karma, to the reality of the partner, of the person. And on a different level, you can also surrender into a caring embrace, which also provokes an orgasm, but it's the same. And so, what does this have to do with creating heaven on earth? So we are here to create heaven on earth. How do we create heaven on earth? We fully welcome the spirit into the body, deep, 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 deep into the body, all the way. And from a Native American perspective, what causes sickness or mental illness is soul loss, and or parts of ourselves being locked up or out of access from each other, from ourselves, from our essence. So, okay, we're going to talk about essence, nature, and potentiality, right? So these are energies that we're working with. Essence is our true God self, the connection to source, the connection to all that is, the part of us that is constantly linked up with God, the part of us that knows everything all the time, the part of us that can access all information of the universe, the collective consciousness. Then we have our nature. Now, these are the patterns that I'm actually working with in this reality, in this lifetime, the patterns of my mind, the patterns that my ancestors have put into motion, the patterns of my early childhood conditioning, the patterns of society. Then we have pure potentiality, right? So we could say that what we're working with here is the transformation of the nature by connecting our essence and our potentiality and dancing with all of that. So so how do we transform the thief to the rich man, the whore to the loving woman, the demon to the god? We understand that we are the center of our own mandala, and that these are all aspects of ourself. So you become your own remedy to transform your nature into potentiality. And you have access to this because you are connected to the essence, the source, at all times. So if you're interested in learning more about this, I guide the Feeding Your Demons meditation and help integrate it also, so I can guide you if you're interested in finding out more about this and finding out more about your own demons and what's going on inside of your psyche. I'm available to guide the Feeding Your Demons meditation and also help you integrate that and walk you through that one-on-one. So you can find out more about me at lovelikeanocean.com, and my email is peacelikeariver, lovelikeanocean@gmail.com. So thank you for tuning in. And the demon god in me bows to the demon god in you. The slutty whore loving mother in me bows to the slutty whore loving mother in you.